Thank you very much for having me here today, and I'd also like to congratulate IFPRI for the release of this very timely and important report. This report provides exactly the kind of evidence, data, and case studies that we as practitioners and policymakers need to help us to do better and to do our jobs well. So thank you very much for this. Today, my remarks, I really want to focus on how we're looking at this both as an implementer of a program that is charged with helping us to meet these goals, as well as a co-chair of an internal working group that we have within the U.S. government on developing our perspectives on the post-2015 goals. I have the privilege and the honor of co-chairing an internal working group on the food security part of it. So I want to share with you some of our thoughts on how we're approaching this process and what our starting points are. So as the Millennium Development Goal target date of 2015 quickly approaches, the shaping of its successor goals in the post-2015 development agenda provides an unprecedented opportunity for us, the global community, to set a new global plan through 2030 in a rapidly changing world. 13 years into this unique commitment, which was the Millennium Development Goals, the uneven progress that we've seen on the hunger and food security related goals should encourage us all to approach this post-2015 process with a renewed sense of urgency. As Shang had mentioned, and Homi as well, we also share a desire to have strong targets and metrics in this process, because those targets and metrics keep us grounded, focused, and most importantly, accountable to what we were doing. We need to accelerate efforts to meet the Millennium Development Goals where they lag the most in low-income, conflict-affected states, and including through major U.S. initiatives, such as the one I lead, Feed the Future. Recently, USAID released its new mission statement, which is, "We partner to end extreme poverty and promote resilient democratic societies while advancing our security and prosperity." The President's Feed the Future initiative is a core part of USAID's mission to eradicate extreme poverty and advance resilient democratic societies. Since 2009, USAID has had the privilege of leading this whole of government, U.S. government initiative that supports agricultural-led growth in 19 focus countries, which helped turn our agency's mission into measurable results for millions of farmers. Because of the advocacy of many people in this room and the informed data that we had, I think Feed the Future, if I can tout our horn, we were one of the first to really major initiatives to link the agriculture and nutrition imperatives. And in fact, our top line goals have been to reduce extreme poverty and undernutrition by 20% in our targeted areas. We are taking that commitment a step further, as Asma mentioned, through the creation of a USAID nutrition strategy, which will launch in a few months, and which we've had online public consultations on. So what's in that won't be a surprise. And we've also launched, there was a meeting just a few days ago around the U.S. government creating a coordinated action plan on the agendas on nutrition. So both of those things will only kind of strengthen the targets and the strategy that we laid out in the creation of Feed the Future. As we all know, failure to ensure food security threatens political stability, social welfare, and economic growth. And so thus inclusive and sustainable agricultural growth is both a political as well as an economic imperative for all of us. At present, we, the U.S. government, we are engaged in an internal process to shape our positions and priorities for the post-2015 development agenda. The Secretary General's high-level panel report and the continuing open working group process on sustainable development goals represent important inputs to our efforts in this area. There are a few key themes that frame our thinking in this ongoing process. First of all, we envision one post-2015 agenda that articulates clear, ambitious, and measurable goals and focuses around three overarching areas of development. The first, we believe it should promote sustainable, inclusive growth and end extreme poverty. Secondly, we seek a new global partnership that goes beyond traditional aid and recognizes the role of private flows. And third, reflecting a planet-sensitive agenda that places environmental sustainability as a crucial component. We recognize that extreme poverty eradication must be central to our future development agenda, and we believe that this is an historic opportunity to make a decisive push to end extreme poverty in our time and build a more prosperous, just, and sustainable future for us all. The next step in the ongoing process in New York is to prioritize and refine potential targets and goals. And the United States has urged that we prioritize goals and targets that can have the most transformative and enduring impact, especially for the most vulnerable. One of the recommendations that this report makes is to really focus on people. And in fact, we are really focusing on people, and that focus on the most vulnerable is there. Addressing the open working group in New York recently, Ambassador Cousins outlined the U.S. approach to priorities. First, we strongly support a framework that prioritizes the unfinished business of the Millennium Development Goals. That means attention to poverty, health, education, food security, and nutrition and water and sanitation, among other issues. With 1.2 billion people still living in extreme poverty and an unprecedented potential to lift them out of it, we believe that extreme poverty and the factors most relevant to combating it should be a central focus. Second, we share the view of many that our agenda needs to prioritize job-rich, inclusive, and sustained economic growth. And third, to have significant and lasting impacts, we need to prioritize widely recognized development bottlenecks, some of which were either overlooked or insufficiently treated by the Millennium Development Goals or have since grown in importance. These include equality and empowerment of women, as Asma talked about, and we should include girls in that, as Asma articulated so well, sustainable energy for all, and management of ecosystems. Specifically on food security, the U.S. approach to food security in post-2015 process reflects the multiple dimensions of the challenge to end hunger and eliminate extreme poverty. We are committed to promoting inclusive agriculture-led growth. I think I was in meetings fighting on that sustainable ag intensification that then when it got to the more senior forms fell apart. But the inclusive agriculture-led growth has proven to be an incredibly effective way to fight extreme poverty and hunger. As we all know, 75% of the world's poor live in rural areas in developing countries and rely directly on agriculture as the basis for their livelihoods. Given the challenge of feeding and expanding a more prosperous world in the face of climate change and other environmental concerns, we need to assure that growth in the ag sector is sustainable. We also recognize the critical role of nutrition. Good nutrition, particularly in the critical 1,000-day window, contributes to economic growth. In closing, I'll say that today's food security challenge is to generate agricultural growth that produces enough food, ensures that that food is accessible to all, and strengthens the resilience of individuals, communities, and economies so that we are all able to withstand the increasing multiple stresses and shocks that affect us. Therefore, it's imperative to us, and we are pushing that food security and nutrition needs to be at the core of the post-2015 development framework. A set of clear and ambitious goals will help the world deliver on a commitment to end extreme poverty and eliminate hunger. Thank you.